Welcome to a live broadcast from the train room, as usual. Uh, this is going to be a video on how to keep your trains on track. Now, for the past 6 months, maybe 7 months, I've been doing live run sessions or shift sessions, I may call it, and I've been working on how to keep my trains on track live. And here and there, I've had some boo boos, some uh-ohs, and oh shits, and that comes with it, the the territory. Um, Always remember, it's not easy keeping a train on track, but it can be easy by just taking your time to do some few things. And one thing I began to take time on is checking my radiuses, checking my sections, checking um, my track itself, and cleaning track. One thing I've done is a lot of track maintenance, and I mean a lot of track maintenance. The upkeep part of keeping the train on the track is the upkeep, track maintenance, red flagging your layout, and going through and making sure everything is running properly so that you can do perfect runnings. I think one of the biggest misconceptions of this is that once I lay my track down, I don't have to worry about track maintenance because all I have to do is put a track cleaning car on there and it's fine. In some situations, yeah, but in a lot, no. It's because of the past few years I began to learn a lot about my layouts and how certain things will dictate how your layout is going to run. One of them, it could be the wood that you use to lay the track on. Two, it could be how you want your layout to be. And I can tell y'all right now, this layout is not level. I don't want it level. I do not want my train layout ever level because of the wear and tear on the engine, because it's in a constant drag or a shove. That's a no-no. I will never level my layout. Um, Another thing is how you lay your scenery on your layout. And I see a lot of people, and I've done it too. I'll put the scenery on there, and once I think the scenery is on there, it'll keep the track in place. That's a no-no. Scenery does not help keep that track in place. It's because of how much water and glue you put on the layout. It dictates the wood. It dictates everything. Once you put that liquid on this layout, because once you do, that wood is going to do quite a few things. It's either going to expand under the heat, or it's going to contract under the cold. And once you put nails in particle board, and I'll never, ever, 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 ever use particle board on the layout. That is a no-no. You never use particle board on the layout. And the reason why is because once you put a hole in that particle board, that moisture gets into that particle wood and it begins to seep when you put the liquid on there, the scenery, and the next thing you have is a swell forming right where you put that track and that liquid. So never put a layout on particle board. Never, ever. I've done that before for a friend of mine a few years ago, and I told him not to get particle board, but he's gonna swear up and down that particle board is best for this layout. And I was like, okay, it's your money. I'm just gonna do it. And not even a good 5 minutes after I put that particle, that track down on that rail, on that layout, you can start seeing it swell just because of the track nails I started putting in, because it started swelling, because he had it in an unclimate controlled garage. It got hot and it got cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. And all you see is that particle board begin to swell and expand. And next thing you know, after 3 weeks, I couldn't even hold a track on the layout. So never, ever, 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 ever use particle board. All right, moving on. This right here is the most important thing you can put on your layout to keep your cars on track. And I've said this so many times, because when you buy a Atherin Genesis $330 engine and you got it less than an inch off the edge of the table, and you hit a bad spot and you have no support to keep it on, and it goes over on the floor, who's going to be crying bad? Just saying. These are what you call your engine lifesavers from hitting the floor. I don't care how well you can lay your track, but if you don't have one of these on your layout, anywhere, somewhere on your layout, it doesn't matter if you just have one, just one is a lifesaver on your layout. And I see a lot of them don't want to use this because it's not prototypical. Bullshit. I'll be damned. When you see that prototypical engine hit the prototypical floor, you're going to be prototypically crying. So I highly recommend you put these on your layout, in your yard, in a spur, on a siding, on a mow track. It doesn't matter where you keep them. Put them on there. And the rule of thumb with a re-railer is every 3 feet. So if these flex track is 3 feet long. So you put a re-railer, you put a flex track, you put a re-railer, you put a flex track on your main. Now, if you're doing your yards, I put them at the top. I'll put them at the top of each yard track. Okay? So these are very, very, very important. Is it called cheating? Hell no. It ain't called cheating. It's called saving your rail cars and your engines for hitting the floor or falling off and scraping on the track, on the scenery, and damaging your rail car or engines or whatever. Take the time to put these damn things on your layout. That's what they're made for, to keep your car on track. Plain and simple. Okay? Another thing. I have some track here. I have some very used. I also have some very used track here, used. I have some fairly new track that I just used like once. And I have some brand new flex track. Brand new. Rule of thumb, you always keep a stick of flex track under your layout, maybe 2, just in case of an actual emergency. So if there is a bad section on your layout and you need to take out a section, you're more likely going to take out the whole 3-foot flex track section just to fix that one spot. So it's always come handy to keep a stick of 5 or 10, 2 sticks on your layout for actions emergencies. And that's what I got on the layout. I have a stick, a flex track, just in case for actions emergencies, because this stuff is getting high. And it's best to go on and get it now before it gets even higher. So there you go on that. This right here, I will use in my yards. I'll use on a spur, or I'll use it somewhere that it's practically non-essential, like a spot and drop. But when you have a good piece like this, that's flex track, but it's set and it's straight as hell, you put it somewhere in your yard so you don't have to worry about it that much. You know, it's there in hand, and it comes in handy. So that's what I use this for. So I don't throw away my track. I don't throw away none of this track because all of it is still usable. All of it's still usable. And I still use it to this day. Even this brass. Now this brass, it's just something about this brass. I got this at a train show a few years ago. Lady was selling it for 20 cents a piece. 20 cents a piece. She didn't know what she had. I knew what she had. Everybody else knew what she had, but she didn't know. And she was selling it for 20 cents a stick. 20 cents. Man, she sold out of this stuff in less than 5 minutes because everybody was grabbing as much as they could. The coolest thing about brass, it flex. For some of these cross ties, it's very flexible. I mean, like, man, this shit is flexible. So what I use this for is the yards, the offline spurs, the sidings, pocket tracks, the non-essential mains, sort of like the wash rack. I'm making a line to go to the wash rack. This is what this is used for. And I just used all of it. I had like 8 or 9 sticks of it left. Most of it that I had was destroyed when I had the other layout, because the scenery that I put it on, it literally glued it like a rock. To come to mind, I gotta tell y'all. I always tell y'all, if y'all gonna use scenery glue, this right here is the best for scenery glue. It's a wood glue. You always get the red. Do not get the blue, because the blue one has the acrylic in it. And when you use the acrylic, it's going to turn a yellowish color when you add the water to it. And then it's going to make your layout look real crappy. So always use the red. It has no acrylic. It's washable. You can add water to it. I use 50-50 on this. So I use half of the bottle and then the rest I put water in it. And it's great for scenery. And once you put this down on your layout, overnight, I say about 4 or 5 hours, it's solid as a rock. So this is good for scenery. I just had to throw that in there for that since I was talking about glue. All right. So the things to make the train stay on track. We got this out of the way. Plain and simple. Get some damn re-rails. We talked about different types of track. Old, new, used, brass, silver. Silver I will not use because it rusts. And once it rusts, that rust gets on your wheels. And once it gets on your wheels, you're screwed. because it takes forever to get that rust off your wheels. So don't ever use silver, that silver rail. If you have it, chunk it. I highly recommend you chunk it. I haven't seen none in about 8 or 9 years because I used to have quite a bit of it, and it ate those Atherin wheels up. It took forever to clean all that stuff off. So get rid of the silver wheels, the silver rail. I'm sorry. So we got brass, we got nickel, silver. It doesn't matter what type of code you use, 55s, 83, 100. Doesn't matter what type of code or rail you use, they all work the same. It's about how you connect the rails together in order for it to have uh, to make a good joint and a continuous run on the rail. Um, let's see. The main reason why I'm doing this video is to not only prove a point to some people, but to make this point clear that it doesn't matter how well, and I know I probably piss off some people, and I really don't care because that's how I am. Doesn't matter how well you lay your track. There's always going to be that instances of there being a problem with your track laying. I am, for one, true one, to admit that track laying for me over the years have been an issue because I was arrogant, I was cocky, I didn't want to listen to nobody because I believed in my heart and soul that I was doing some great track laying. But I was wrong, and I didn't care at the time. But now, over the past few years, I take it personally now more than ever to do great track work, so that when I have y'all come on to see me do some switching, that the number one thing y'all want to see is a perfect switching run. And the number one thing I want to do is make sure that you all see some good switching and you all get a quality product when y'all come see me. So I just had to throw that out there. But the number one thing I want to talk about is your radiuses. And I am, for one, thought 18 and a 22 was the heart and soul of my layout. I swear, because I used to run 4 axles all the time. And when I started going into the 6 axles, I started seeing issues with cars going off the track. And I'm talking about these 50-foot, 53, 55 footers, or 50 footers going off track on an 18-inch radius. And when one person in my live session years ago said my track work was crappy, I personally took that to heart. And I was like, okay, maybe he has a point. Maybe I need to go back and check my track work. And I did. And I started red flagging on a constant the track work on my layout. So every night before I did a run session, I started checking my track, check the radius, check everything. I went through a fine-tooth comb, checking the joints, checking the switches, checking everything. I mean, everything, to make sure that car stayed on track. So when the car stayed on track, when the car started staying on the track, I started having issues with the coupling. And so everybody was like, "Hey, your couplings are crappy. You need to get better couplers." So I started getting more KD couplers and getting rid of the McHenrys, because majority of my my layout had the coupler, the McHenry couplers, the plastic couplers with the metal holes on. So I started working on getting that situated, taking care of that, getting all those couplers taken care of. When I started doing that, then I started seeing a better run on my layout. Smooth turns on the switches, smooth turns on the radiuses, cars staying together. The little things, the very little things add up to make your track runs look good. So that's what I concentrated on the past 3 or 4 years, is working hard on doing the little things that makes your layout run successful. Um, doesn't matter about how your track looks. And I learned that for the past 3 years. It doesn't matter how ugly, trashy your track is. You can use this track 15, 20 times, 30 times. Doesn't matter. You can bring it up 15, 20, 30 times. You can change your layout and use the same track 15, 30 million times. Doesn't matter. The number one thing you want to make sure is the ends. Make sure the ends are connected with the other end in the transition, on the curves, on the straights, on the switches. Doesn't matter. You guys, I tell y'all, take some very trashy old track. Doesn't matter. All that matters is take a Dremel. Clean the ends and join it with another piece of track. Doesn't matter how bad that rail journal looks. Doesn't matter. As long as you have a nice tight fit, this track will run like a brand new piece of track. Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter. As long as you clean the ends, straighten the ends, and make sure everything works perfectly on it. Another thing, y'all saw me do this the other night. Take some sandpaper. Rub your finger across that joint. If there is a spur on there, sand it out. Remove that burr until it is nice and clean. I don't care if you got to put a little muscle in that some gun, but as long as you get that burr out, your car won't be doing the hop dance. And that's what I had to do quite a bit in sections on this layout, is by taking out the burr. Something I used to do a long time ago, way before I got on YouTube and started doing run stations. A friend of mine was like, man, you need to clean them burrs because you got too many burrs. Oh, look at that car jumping like a damn grasshopper. Clean that shit up, man. And I started doing it a lot, but then I got away from it because I had rail clippers. So I started going back to the old school way of cleaning up my layout. And there's a burr right there. Son of a bitch. And that's not from that's from a prime example. Y'all gonna see this car jump. It's not that bad. It's not that bad, but it's there. I can feel it. And I rub my hand across it. I will get you soon. All right. So doesn't matter the type of rail you use. You can use this track 30 jillion times, 30, 40 times. As long as the ends are clean and straight and even, doesn't matter. Radius is another thing. And I was talking about this earlier about the 18 and 22-inch radius. And I found that to be the god of all radiuses because that's all I knew about 15, 20 years ago when I started getting in was the small radius is because all I ran was 4 axles and I never ran 6 axles until the past 3 years ago. Past 3 or 4 years, I started using uh, 6 axles. There is a certain engine that will let you know when you have bad track, and I'm going to pull it out. Where is she? SD40-2. This thing right here will tell you instantly if your track work is bad or good. And the reason why is the truck base design. Let me get a or dash 9. If you can tell the difference in the truck base, this is more wider than this. This is spread out more than this. So when you start running this on a 22 or a 24, you're definitely going to see this train dance a little. And when I realized that this thing doesn't take 18 and 22 or 22 too well, that's when I started changing the radius all over the layout to a bigger radius. Because I want this thing to stay on. And when I changed the radius, this son of a gun stayed on even better. Y'all seen this thing run, and it done the top. It did 19 hours a while back with its other SD40, the high nose. Both of these ran 19 hours easily with no issues whatsoever. And the main reason why is because I changed the radius on the layout when it had the upper and lower deck. And I was like, man, I am a true believer in a broader radius now. This whole layout, I changed the radius because of the simple fact I wanted this thing to run. And I was about to give these away. And I wasn't kidding. I was so fed up with these things. I was about to say, hey, whoever wants a SD40-2s, I will sell it or I'll give away in a contest. I was willing to give these damn things away. It's because of the simple fact I couldn't get this damn thing to stay on track. And I got frustrated and I burned up one and I had to send it back to get it fixed because of how the radius was set up on the layout. I had it at like a 26 to a 28, but now this thing can stay on the layout at a 28 to 30. So I was like, man, I was willing. I'm not joking, guys. I was that close to getting rid of these things to y'all. And I was like, man, let's just try something different. So I changed the radius on the whole layout for this baby to run. So I was willing to give these damn things away. I had them before. Oh, sorry, girl. Sorry. I got. Oh shit. Oh shit. I put this -9 too close to the track, and it jumped and it. Oh boy. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Yeah. There we go. I put this too close to the track, and it caught up and it jammed up on the train, so it stopped on my fault. Let me put this back. So the radius, a good, strong, broad radius can have a good, will change the dynamics of your layout. And this right here will tell you if you did good track work or did you do poor track work. And to me, this right here, I like them now. I love them now. I don't want to get rid of them. I think I'm gonna buy me another one. Just no, I can't buy anymore. I'm done buying cars. But this right here, I love them now because I learned how to make them run. Because these babies right here, the truck base, once again, the truck base is a little bit different from the -9s and the Gevos. Plus, it's a little bit wider, so it needs a wider turn. So that's the reason why I keep them now, because I changed the wheelbase. So this is my new baby. I love him. So uh, another thing, switches. Now, all of y'all know I changed to Giro switches. I don't have about 2 or 3 picos, and I only keep those just in case of an emergency. But I got rid of them because of the fact, one, I'm wasting money because of the fact this is a switching layout, and picos don't last long. Probably about 100 to 200, well, I say less than 100 times when you go back and forth on switching. Um, the Giro, excuse me, guys. Where is the Pico? I just had one. Where is that Pico? It's around here somewhere. Here it is. Pico. This back and forth don't last long because that spring inside that box down here, it wears out over the period of time. And when it wears out, you don't have a switch. Plus, these are on hinges where if you've seen a Pico, they're tamped down on a hinge, and over a period of time, it wears out. This is not, these Pico switches are not designed for switching. My personal experience, these are not done, excuse me, these are not need to be used for switching because of the wear the wear and tear, and they wear out too fast. And on an average, I spent more money on pickles. Oop, God dang it, girl. Really? I got everything falling on the tracks. I spent more money on these, or I'll go to my friend and he would donate a few of them to me that he's not using. So I practically didn't have to spend any money, but I don't think I bought nearly 10 Pico switches compared to he gave me about 20 of them every 5 years. But they wear out over a period of time. And you're spending a lot of money. These things cost up to $33 now, $35, $40, depending on where you get them from. And to honestly, it's not worth the money to buy them. And that's my opinion. My experience with these Picos or Atlas wear out as well. So when I heard about Fast Track about 3 years ago, I was like, okay, let's think about it. So at that time, Bruce Giroux was making some switches for Vinny, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, hey, can you make some HO curves, straights? And he was like, yeah, I can do it. So that's all how I got into Fast Track. When I first got that first switch, and he explained how to use them, I was hooked, and I've been hooked ever since. In my first year, I had 28 switches. 28 switches. I now have, and that was 2 years ago on my first run. Now I have over 40 switches, close to 40 switches. Left, right, curve. And he just designed a new curve switch. He just designed a new curve switch. This is the smaller radius version of the big radius. I think it still works the same as the other one. I'm not 100% sure. Yes, I think this is a 22-24 radius. And I'm in love with this damn thing. And I think I'm going to change my order and have him to make more of these for me. Just for the simple fact that this takes up less space than a straight. Okay? If you use a curve switch, you gain more track space than a straight, because in fact you're starting the transition on a curve than on a straight. So you're getting more track space, especially in your yards. So that's the reason why I might go and order some more of these than these, just for that reason. These Giroux switches, I love them. For the price of one of these, this will last as long as you take care of it. And trust me, I have beat the heck out of these Giroux switches, but they still work to this day. I still have the very first one on this layout as I speak, and it still works. And that was 2 years ago. Compared to that Pico, these I bought practically, I told you I bought 10. Overall, I bought 10, but the rest of them, it was donated to me, and I had like 30 or 40 of those. And half of them I had to throw away because they were no good, because of that spring wears out or the points will start jacking up, and you, I'm just I'm a switching guy, and I need something that's going to last. And these babies last far longer than this. And I mean, once you put these down, you have nothing to worry about. You can put them on a tortoise, or you can put them on a throw switch. And I got one right here. It's already glued into the switch. And I use glue to mount these down. I don't mount them down with nails just for the simple fact I don't want to damage the throw switch. So, so a good these are not on hinges. You don't see any hinges on this, and that's the number one reason why I like them, because it's on one piece of rail that's been designed to go back and forth like a spring action, because it has a spring, so it's either going to stay one way or the other. So I tell you, that's the reason why I invested into these. And guys, you can't beat a fast track switch. So that's another thing. Now, the number one question I'm sure everybody wants to know is, how in the hell are you running these trains on this track for so long, and they're staying on track for so long? This train is now it is 20 hours. It's now 20 hours. It's almost in a day. This thing been running for almost a day, guys. So the $1,000,000 question is, how in the hell am I able to keep these cars on and the engine on track? What is, oh, did I turn the sound off? I'll figure you out later. Anyway, number one, speed. You don't have to run these like Evil Knievel going around the racetrack, or or, or you don't have to use speed. Find a quality speed. Like I got this one running at 10 knots, a smooth run. As you can see, I have two engines on over there. And the number one thing, when you run two engines, you better make sure they're 100% speed match. They have to be in concert. Otherwise, you're going to have some problems. Number two, make sure that every rail joint, is completely joined as tight as possible. Now, I'm going to show y'all something. This is a small demonstration on what I did on the main. And I kid you not, if you do this, this will work. I'm going to take this. Put that there. Why use a Dremel? 3 reasons why I use a Dremel. The first reason, I live in an apartment and I don't want to be doing a constant bang and irritate my neighbors. So I don't use a hammer to hammer in the nails. The second reason, every time you hit this track or sometimes with a hammer, you're gonna either hit the track or hit the nail, or hit the track and nail and rails or something. And majority of the time, you might damage the rail when you hit the rail, or you'll damage the cross ties. Either way it goes, you're putting harm to your track. So I learned to use a Dremel, and what I do, this needs to be charged. I put a hole in there. I take a nail. If I can find a hole. That's what she said. Did you just stop, girl? Yes, you did. And then I puncture it down to where it doesn't move. It's just the same as using a hammer, but the number one thing that's not happening is damaging your track and cross ties when you're hammering. And that's the main reason why I use it. I know that sounds crazy, but you can use it with cork bed as well. I used it on cork bed. You just gotta guesstimate on the hole where that hole is when you're using your cork bed, and then putting in your track. And trust me, I've done it on video, and everybody be like, "How do you see where that nail going?" Trust me, I guesstimate and I hit it sometimes, and sometimes I don't, but I have to go back and do it again. So, demonstration. I'm going to take this piece of section track. I can't really do the demonstration because my Dremel, I didn't put the Dremel on the charge before I left to go to work this morning. So it's dead. Almost as dead as a doorbell. This is what you call fastening an end. Say, for instance, I got a section here and I got a section here, and both of these sections are nailed down. But I want to make sure that this connection is tight as possible. Okay? So what I will do is I will tie it in on one end. And then on the other end, I will cut it about, so much over, excuse me, so much over to where this will bulge up. And when it bulged up, I know 100% I had a connection. So I would try to straighten out the track as I do it. And when I do that, it's tight, it's connected, and I know I won't have any issues with it. And I do that every few sections on the main. And then when you do this, and you test it out, you have a connection. So some of the things that makes a good run session, and it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, track maintenance. Always do track maintenance. There is nothing wrong with checking your track. Always keep a track cleaner on your rails. I need to put one on here, but it's doing fine up there. Check your track, check your joints. Uh, uh, when you're laying your track, take the time to look at each and every section. And there is nothing wrong with going back and checking your work. Check your work 3 or 4 times. Take a rail car, just sit it on the track and see what happens. And push it back and forth. On your joints, on your switches. If it buckles under the switch, then there is something. It's not the car, it's the switch. Always remember the switch. Well, there is such thing called a defect switch, and there is also such thing as a defect car. But majority of the time, it could be just the way you laid the switch in. For example, let's look at this Dremel switch. All right. I run this across this Dremel switch quite a few times to make sure that it was a smooth running across the switch. And this is before I ran the train. Oh, sorry, girl. Sorry. And I'll run it up to the next switch. I will just run it and see what happens. If I see any hopping, which there is no hopping, if I see the wheels start buckling on the frog, which I don't see any buckling on the frog, if I see anything that happens on the points, when I line the points, then I need to do something. I have not nailed this down. None of this is nailed down right here. And I have to nail it down later on tonight when I charge up the Dremel. But I want y'all to look as these tank cars run across this switch. Look very closely. I want y'all to look closely. And I'm going to speed it up a little. I'm going to put it back at what I had it with when I was here yesterday. It was at 20. Do you see any jumping, bumping, stumbling, rumbling, bumbling, any of that as it goes across that switch? No. That is smooth of a switch you can get. And that's the reason why I invest my money in his switches, because I know I'm getting a quality switch every time. That's it. Look how the engine runs across it. You don't see that engine jumping whatsoever. And then when it transitions, it's a smooth transition going into the next switch, which is a straight section. And that's what you want. You want every section to be as smooth as possible. And that's the reason why I broadened the radius from 24, 22 to a 28, to a 28-30. The same as the switch everywhere on the layout. Doesn't matter what type of track you use, 83, 55, 70, 100, 2000, who cares? Doesn't matter what type of track you use, it's always about how you lay the track. The track is going to tell you everything when that rail car goes across it. Actually, the rail car is going to tell you what that track is doing. Either you laid me good or you laid me bad. So I hope this was helpful for a lot of you. Uh, the number one thing is take your time. Always lay a few track. Lay about 3 or 4 feet. 3 or 4 feet at a time, maybe 6 feet. Then walk away, gather yourself, because I know you're going to concentrate. You're concentrating very hard on this to get it right. So the best thing to do is every time you lay 6 feet of track, walk away. Whatever you're doing on your layout, take the time to walk away and gather your thoughts, because it can be very stressful laying track, laying scenery, doing anything on your layout. Take the time to walk away. And if it continues to act up, red flag your layout, and then pull up the whole section and start over. I am a true believer in taking up the whole section. You don't take off the one bad section. Take up the section completely. If it have to be 3 feet of a section track, of a flex track, take up the whole piece. Start over. And then figure it out how to make it work better. Because if you just take out a small section, you're defeating the purpose of the continuous running of your operations. Prime example, the other day, I was having issues with that over there on the main. What I did is I took out that section all the way up to the switch. Everybody was telling me it kept stopping and stopping and stopping. Come to find out, the rail joint was not connected entirely to the track. I don't know how I missed that. I thought I had it together, and I was wondering why that engine kept jumping. So what I did was I adjusted the track. It took me about 20 or 30 minutes to get that just right over there. And I took my time with it, and I wanted to make sure it stayed right. So I got a bad spot somewhere. I know just where it's at. Come on, guys. You're going to see me fix this again. All right. You're going to see me fix this. What's going on is this section right here where that switch is. And I got these cars here in the way. So we're going to take the cars off. Nothing to do with cars. I need my other stool. I'm going to stop the train. My sound is not working. Still under warranty. Take it back to scale trains. The sound is out on this engine. Oh, there you go. All right. All right, I stopped the train. All right. Ouch. I don't know. That's a new one. All right, this train is now doing 50. So it's going to be hauling ass right now. If it go off track, then I know where it's going to go off at. I'm going to let it coast into this and see what happens. Look closely at the lights. Which light goes off? Well, damn it, none of them went off. I could have sworn it was somewhere here. I don't know. I know this train stopped a while ago. I know y'all saw it too. It stopped. And now it doesn't stop anymore. So I give up. It does what it want to do. So as long as it stay on track, I don't care. swear this train does this on purpose to mess with me. And it did not do this none in the run session all day today until I get home and it wants to act up a little. So I swear, this train has a mind of its own. This layout has a mind of its own, no matter what. It has its bad days and it has its good days, but right now, running 19 hours, I guess it want to have a great day. As you can see, y'all saw me put 4-rail in yesterday, and I use all the brass track is over here on 4-rail. All of this is brass track right here. The next thing I have to do is tie it in. It should be hot. And it's not, so I need to tie it in. But like I was saying, guys, we have a burr right there that I need to take down. I have a little burr there. So I have some burrs that I have to clean up. But the good thing is it's not jumping as bad as I thought it was going to be. With those burrs, as you can see, the train is rocking a little. So I have to clean those up. There's one down there. So I'm going to clean that up after I get finished getting this in and done. It's all about taking your time and being patient. And when you get frustrated, walk away. The new rule for model railroading is frustration means walk away. I think that's the most important thing everybody needs to do. When you get frustrated and you get upset with the minor little things on your layout, walk away, gather yourself, take some time, take about an hour or two, and then come back and then figure out the situation you've been dealt with. Be patient. You'll figure it out. But when it comes to track work, take your time. Be patient. I am a true believer in taking my time and being patient now, because back in the day, I could put up a layout in less than 8 hours. Compared to now, it's taking me a week, maybe 2 weeks to get this layout the way I want it. Because now I'm taking more time on concentrating on my track work rather than trying to get it down, put the scenery down, and then do all the crazy stuff. I care less about the scenery right now until I make sure this thing is 100% solid, good on a run. That means everywhere on this layout has to be a perfect run for me. So I want to be able to run a train through this track. I want to be able to run a train through this track. I want to be able to run train through, well, you see it running on this, but these two tracks as well. And so, like I said, I'm learning to take my time, to walk away, gather myself, and fix the issues. And the number one issue that I fixed yesterday that I'm sure y'all haven't seen is that this main was all the way up against those tracks over there. What I did is I took it out and made this turn a broader turn so that the engine won't stop like it was. It was stopping in the turn over there and stalling on the re-railer, which is now, I took the re-railer out because it was right here. Now it's over here on this spur. So that goes into the four-rail. And that's one of the only re-railers I have on here. Where's the other one? The other one is at the top of the shove line for the resin production area. So, yeah. So that pretty much it on how to make this baby stay on track. Be patient. Take your time. It doesn't matter what type of track you use, as long as you make sure it's joined correctly. Make sure you have a smooth radius. And to be honest, it doesn't matter what type of radius you use, as long as the engine can exist on that radius. So if this 4-axle can exist on an 18 and 20 to 22, which is fine, I want to make sure my 6 axles run from a 24 or 26 up to whatever radius, which is a 28-30. I want my engines to be as smooth as possible on the turns. So I broaden the turns from 1822 to a 2830, which takes up a lot of track space in the corners, but that's okay, because that's what I want, a smooth transition all the way around the layout. Now right there, that's going to be like a 22 to a 24 right there, going to that turn. But I know that can make that turn because I'm going to make sure it makes that turn. Use whatever tools you need to delay your track. Doesn't matter what you use. And if you have a junk table somewhere on your layout, that's fine. You can always clean it later. It'll be clean before the end of the week, trust me. But guys, just take your time. Be patient. Make sure your switches, it doesn't matter what type of switch you use, make sure that those switches line up correctly and that there's no wiggle waggle on the switches. Go back, check your switches 3, 4, 5 times. And what I mean by that is the transition from going into the switch, going through to the switch, and coming out of the switch. See how smooth that turn is? Going out of the switch into the divert. Over here, the same thing. See how the diversion track is smooth out? You see how I broaden the turn out and then straighten it out? Instead of making it go along the side of this way, I broaden it out so it can make a smooth turn. So broaden your turns out. If you have to do that in the yard, that's fine. You know, it's there. It happened. It just did it. The damn thing just stopped right on top of the switch. So I don't think I have some power lines on that end. I got them here, but I don't have power lines on that end. So I will have to fix the power over there. I'll have to drop some power over there because that damn thing just stopped. Damn, red ball. So once again, you see how the turn is? How it smoothly makes its turn, going around the curve, going into the switch, coming out of the switch, and then makes the turn. That's what you want on your layout, a smooth transition. going in and out. And that was something I tried not to do, is take up so much track space by having this big gap. But this is a main, and it represent, I'm not in the yard, I'm on a main now. This is the main, so it's on the backside going up the ladder of the yard, compared to going on the front side and then going into the curve into the yard, out of the yard. I use this track, and the reason why is because this track goes into the resin production area. It's all about finding ways to make your train stay on the track, broaden the turns, smoothing out your turns. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much it. All right. I'm going to open up the floor for questions about the layout. If you want to ask me some questions, feel free, and I'll try my best to answer them. Because I just have a few more minutes, and then I'm going to lay some more track. So, anyone have any questions? At this time, I have no plans to get a steam locomotive on the layout. Not right now. Unless scale trains make a steam locomotive, I will, but I'm not into steam locomotives compared to diesel, but I will plan on getting one just to put in the display case just to show that I have one. So the answer is yes, but not right now. I'll get one next year, maybe next year, unless John Bitley or Joe Rader want to sell me their Shay. Any more questions? Y'all know y'all want to sell me y'all shades. Y'all know y'all want to. I saw one on eBay the other day for $550. Brand new. It was brand new. And that is the cheapest you're going to find on a shade. Yeah, it's that Z-Brass. It was actually a Spectrum. It was a Spectrum. Yeah, you can always get it for my birthday gift for next year. All right, is there any more questions? Any? I can't wait. I can't wait. Hopefully by that time next year, Scale Trains will come out with the big boy, the 4014. Because they got MTH tooling for the broad for that 4014. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. If I get me a big boy steam engine, I'm gonna take it to my friend, and he's gonna I'm gonna have him deck it out with all the detail, and he's gonna put classification lights on it. I'm gonna end up spending an extra $500 on that engine to get it decked out and situated, because I want classification lights on it. I want the lantern. The lantern headlight style on it. He's gonna put the lantern light style on it. He's gonna put all the bells and whistles on it. He's gonna deck that son of a gun out. Like I said, I'm gonna end up spending an extra $500 on detail for that big boy that I get. So he has a steam engine that he said whenever he wants to sell, he'll sell it to me. I don't know how much I'm going to end up spending, but I know it's going to be a lot. So we'll see. We'll see. No. The classification lights on all the steam engines that you see right now, I don't see classification lights on any of the steam engines. I don't see them on the Broadway. I don't see them on the Spectrums. I don't see them on the Actors. I don't see it on any. He is the only one that put classification lights on his steam engines. Nobody else does that. I guarantee you, you will not see classification lights on any steam engines except what he does. All right, any more questions? All right, that's going to conclude this. Thank y'all all for coming to this. I hope some of the information was helpful. And I guess I need to put that disclaimer out there. The views and comments of Harold Jackson does not reflect the views and ideas of YouTube and YouTube affiliates. So I need to put that out there. Okay. Oh, I got to fix that bridge. So thank you all for coming. I will be back in a little while, and y'all going to see some more track work. I'm going to red flag the layout, and I'll show y'all the reason why in a minute when I come back. So when y'all come on, the trains will not be running. It'll be red flagged, okay? So I'll see y'all in a little bit, all right? Bye, guys.